Hey, James, what's going on? It's good to be back and alive. Never mind
Yes,
live,
we are
right?
back. This has been, a long while since we've been able to do live. So we're really excited to be able to bring lives back. And we want to jump on really quickly to give you some updates.
Yeah, very cool. We want to let everybody know that we, in fact, are here. We have some really cool things going in the way that we help people. Jamie's going to outline in a minute. We've created a schedule of lives for the fall because we used to do these lives. How long has it been?
Oh gosh, it's been at least, I would say, a year.
A year and a half, probably.
Probably longer than that.
So
Yeah.
it probably has been. It's been a crazy year. I had to move out of my house. Toxic poisoning. I've been on my own journey of recovery, but I just moved back in. So I'm back in my home, which is really cool. Yeah. Hey, welcome. Wolf Streaming. We're psyched to be back and we're here. This is totally informal, but we're going to answer questions. We just want to give people some updates. So thanks for everybody who's joining because we didn't really let people know, but we're here to let you know when we will be live in the fall. And, it's really important. I don't totally know what you mean, but, it's really important for us to be able to show up and to support people. And I know the lives were really integral piece of that. So that's why we're back. And it's fun for Jamie and I too. So, James, do you want to give some updates and then we'll talk about what we're going to be doing in the fall?
Yeah. So, we're glad that y'all are trickling in. We are going to start going live on this channel the first Wednesday of the month at 1:30 p.m. We will be putting out promos to, let people know that we're going to be live. And we're going to have different topics for each month. So, it's going to be nice to be able to kind of stay on track and talk about different things that are really important, especially in this, type of experience that people are going through. This is very different, but there are aspects and different months that are awareness months that Dr. Leigh, we really like to stay on a theme-based month, so we can talk about different things that are really important. So make sure you tune into every first Wednesday of the month at 1:30. We're trying to do 45 minutes, but it may go an hour. We'll see how that goes depending on if we have other appointments. And
I know we always have to cut ourselves off. That's the reality.
Do.
And in just a minute, we're going to tell you what that schedule is. We've outlined the schedule for September, October, November, and December. It's basically the schedule that we did. We didn't do it last fall because life was crazy, but we did it the fall before that, I think. So it's when we follow different topics, it can really help people kind of anchor into different aspects of this recovery experience. And the reason that we do topics is that, I talk to thousands of men, women too, but mostly men who struggle with pornography and sexual acting out. And every person I talk to, it feels like they're having this totally unique experience that nobody else could understand. And part of what I try to assure them when I talk to people is that, in fact, it's an individualized experience, but it's also systematic. It actually falls out very similar for most people. It has patterns to it, at least. So those patterns are what we're going to be talking about in the upcoming months.
And if anybody is inspired, Dr. Leigh does have programs and we can talk about this in the later lives, but, those components that are in this particular journey, the program hits every one of those components. And so if you do need more support and you really need, someone to guide you through this journey, I would highly suggest looking at the programs. We have different shapes and sizes, but support, we're here to support you on this YouTube channel, educate you, help you understand, this journey. But, if you're really needing more support, I would highly suggest getting into a program. So
yeah. And Jason, I love your comment about being bold. Honestly, I didn't totally have a choice in the matter because this landed in my lap. And when it did, I guess I chose to be bold in that moment. And it's exact same thing that I try to encourage all of you is that, when I first started engaging in porn addiction recovery with someone in my own life, like I felt like I was the only person in the world who knew that this existed. And then, of course, with my educational background, I actually felt like I was perfectly poised to help people because when this came, oh, Stanley, keep it clean, my friend. When this came into my life, then, I felt like I totally know how to help people. I knew right away. I felt like it clicked into place. Actually, I was thinking today about some of the things that clicked into place for me. So, I didn't have a choice, even though I have to deal with some people's shenanigans and I do take hate from other people. I have to show up with courage in the face of fear, which is what I encourage all of you to do. So thank you for that comment, the nice one from Jason that I appreciate, because really now that I was able to help my friend, I have made it my mission to help as many of my friends out there in the world to be able to get porn out of their life, get on track in terms of healthy mood regulation, get on track in terms of healthy sexuality, and live a life that you literally have probably never guessed that you can have. So it's just that important to me. So that's why I'm here, because I really want to help you. We came back to do the lives because we have been putting out consistent podcasts, which have been taking off, which is really cool. But it's been difficult for me to make a lot of content just because I've been recovering myself. So now we're in a position where we really want to be consistent, and we've hired some people to help us. So we just wanted to let you know we're back, and we plan on being consistent with some really great content.
And yes, please keep this clean. We don't want triggering comments for other people. I will remove you. So I'm just giving you a warning. This is a place to really be able to help and support people. But just wanted to put
and
that
if
out there.
it's not for me, I can handle whatever, but it's for other people that I try super hard not to be triggering for other people. If there's other people, the reality is anybody who's making a really unhealthy comment is in a very emotionally unhealthy place and probably a person who needs my help the most. And so, I get that. And so it's not that I'm offended. It's just we're trying to keep this a really healthy place for the people who are here for help. So, so let's try to play by the rules there. All right. Thank you, Stanley. I totally appreciate that. Okay.
All right.
So, James,
So for
September.
topics.
Yes, September. So we're coming back September organized. Lay it out for us, James.
So September 6th, 1:30, we are going to talk about healthy sexuality. What is it, and how do I'm going to let Dr. Leigh kind of go into more detail in regards to what these topics are going to be about. So healthy sexuality.
So September 6th, Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. lives. The way that the live works is it's question and answer. I always come prepared with the topic, and I always come prepared with talking points. But really, I want it to be your time. And Wolf Streaming has a great question that I'm going to get to in a minute. We're going to do some questions here today. But the idea is we're going to talk about these topics each month, and hopefully I can move you forward by being able to respond to you in the moments that you feel like you need support. That's what the live does. So in September, on that first Wednesday in September, we're going to start talking about healthy sexuality. And I know that so many people don't even know what healthy sexuality is. It's very different from compulsive hypersexuality. And if you've been pulled into a porn habit and you're still stuck in the porn cycle, likely you're still stuck in hypersexuality, and you could benefit from learning what healthy sexuality is. So we're going to talk about how to build intimacy, how to attract a healthy partner if you don't have a partner, how you can start an emotionally healthy relationship and avoid toxic dynamics in your relationship in the first place. Then what does healthy sexuality look like in the bedroom? How do you deal with hypersexuality and shift yourself from being hypersexual to being perfectly healthy sexual, within your relationship and in the world. Then we're also going to talk about erectile dysfunction and sexual arousal dysfunction issues. So if you struggle with ED, porn induced erectile dysfunction, if you struggle with delayed ejaculation or premature ejaculation, those can really put a kink in your sex life. And we're going to break that down, because having a healthy arousal template and a brain that has healthy arousal function is obviously completely essential to being able to pull off healthy sexuality. So it is going to be a jam-packed month with information that you do not want to miss. So what we're going to do is the podcast that month is going to be focused on healthy sexuality. So there'll be content on that topic, but then the live is going to be there to answer your questions out of the gates, so I can make sure I get it covered in the content for the rest of the month. So make sure you tune in during the live and listen to all of the podcast episodes, which we always put the videos on YouTube also. Okay, and I see we have some questions coming in, which is really cool. So let me go back to Wolfstream's question after Stanley's promise to keep it clean here, which is beautiful. Okay, question is, actually, I think I can put it up here. Question is, if someone is struggling today, making efforts, but is still failing, is that person doomed? Is it this urgent, etc., where it's like, if I don't quit today, I'm screwed? Well, Wolf Streaming, I'm here to tell you, any recovery journey, today's the day, my friend. And hear this first, okay? Hear this, Wolf Streaming, and hear this, everyone else, because I answer this question in my consultations every single day. And just to backtrack, again, this isn't the sales piece, but just so you know, I do personal consultations. I have space in my schedule each week to be able to talk with people personally about their situation. The reason I do it is I know how important it is to share that with somebody who can listen to that in an emotionally healthy way, and to be able to lend an ear and point you in a direction. This is what I tell people in those consultations. 150%, you can heal your brain. You can. And it's regardless of how old you are. It's regardless of how long you've been consuming pornography. It's regardless of the magnitude and complexity of your sexual acting out behaviors. I'm not going to say anything specific, again, keeping it trigger free here, but if you're listening and you're doing things that have a higher magnitude and they're more involved than just porn in terms of sexual acting out, I help people with all types of behaviors all the time. But yes, today is the day. And I wouldn't say you're screwed, but this is what I would say, is that there's no such thing as a horizontal spiral. I know it's cheesy, but it's totally true. You're either in an upward spiral in your life, or you're in a downward spiral. A downward spiral, the scientific term, is a negative feedback loop, meaning you keep watching porn, it keeps damaging your brain, which keeps sending you back to porn, which gives you erectile dysfunction, anxiety, ADHD, all things we'll be talking about in the fall, depression. And those behaviors give you relationship problems, difficulty with your work, lack of motivation, downward spiral. So when you stop consuming porn, your brain clears up. If you engage in the proper strategies and tools, your brain will rewire itself, not just unwire itself. It will rewire and hardwire itself in the optimal mode. And every brain can reach the optimal mode. That's the beauty of neuroplasticity. What it does, it creates the upward spiral, and you will be moving forward. But I want you to hear this. There is urgency to it, because downward spirals are nasty places to be. They lead to pain offset by pleasurable activities meant to douse the pain in your brain. But, you got to create the upward spiral ASAP. So I want you to know that.
And the side effects that come with this, I mean, this is not almost, I would say, 90% of the clients we work with Guilt and shame kind of, are at the top, but negative feelings, brain fog, memory, concentration issues, anxiety, difficulty focusing, no motivation, depression, moodiness, irritability, needing higher stimulation to become aroused. So you might engage in things you're not morally congruent with, but that's the tolerance is building. Erectile dysfunction, fetishes, impaired judgment, less attracted to partner, relationship problems, neglecting other areas of your life, isolation. I mean, there's so many things that really can negatively impact your life. And I would say, would you agree that probably 80-90% of the guys we work with struggle with all of those? And
all of
we
it,
have
yeah, all of it, unfortunately.
So
and Jason has a really cool question to segue us into October's topic. So the question is, it gives you ADHD. How does that work? And in October, what's the date, James, for October's
October
live?
is October 4th, and it's ADHD and then porn-induced erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, so no, it's porn-induced ADHD. So yes, and that's a new term that I'm coining, which is why it's not rolling out of Jamie's mouth. And I started to talk about it a little bit a couple of years ago, and I'm doubling down because you know how that goes. Is that yes, in fact, consuming pornography gives your brain the ADHD pattern. It's part of porn brain. Porn will decrease functioning in the frontal lobe. Basically, that's the same pattern as an organic ADHD brain pattern. The ADHD in and of itself is, I call it an organic pattern, meaning it's neurodevelopmental. And I'm going to break this down big time in October because it's super important, because I work with so many people who have just been diagnosed with adult onset ADHD. And I'm like, that is not a thing, my friend. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder. You're born with it. And part of my work is I can do a brain map that shows exactly what brain patterns and how your brain is using electrical energy. I'm going to share the difference in October of what happens in porn-induced ADHD. People with true ADHD are actually at more risk for consuming pornography compulsively. I'm going to talk about why in October. I have another YouTube channel if you're not aware of it. It's just called Brain Rewire, Dr. Trish Leigh. We're going to be doing themes over there too. So I'm really going to focus on organic ADHD in October on that channel and talk about porn-induced ADHD over here and make some comparisons and some contrasting them too. So yeah, if you are struggling with focus and brain fog and lack of attention and difficulty being able to do the tasks that you need to, and you watch porn, that's the number one thing to look at before you get ADHD meds or you go to get an ADHD diagnosis. So we'll break that down on the first Wednesday in October at 1:30 p.m.
There's a question about, do women struggle with this? And absolutely, women do struggle with this as well. It's about self-soothing, and it can come from a lot of different, trauma. But it's the dopamine, and it's one of the worst addictions. So yes, it affects everybody.
Yeah, and I'm working with more and more women. Women can join the 90-day program that I have. We don't have them join the accountability group because it's designed for men. And clearly, when it comes to sexuality right now, where we are in history, it's not a good idea to combine men and women in that group because women struggle with all the same behaviors and the ways that they act out. What we know from science is that if a woman does struggle with addiction in general, it can be more difficult for a woman to leave addiction behind. And so I work with women personally, and thankfully I'm making great gains with the women that I work with. So, if you know any women, or if you're wondering, is this just a man thing? This is a brain thing. And really, historically speaking, men have been the ones who have been exposed to porn when they're young. But obviously now with porn in your pocket on your phone, more women are being exposed to that. So we're going to talk about that in September for healthy sexuality and cover that a little bit there.
All right. So for November, it's going to be November 1st. It's no
Oh,
nut
perfect.
November, no porn November. You can call it what you want. There's lots of different names. No FAP November. We usually do a 30-day. Is it 30 days in November? But we usually do a daily thing for November. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a playlist that you have still that's available. The first one that you did is available on YouTube. So we will be doing something special for that. But you want to elaborate on that, Dr. Leigh?
Yeah. So, that's something that we haven't missed. And No Porn November, most people, out there in the world who aren't necessarily in this community also know about No Whatever November. That's become a trend across the world. My daughter rides horses, so she has No Stirrup November, where they don't use stirrups when they're riding horses. There's No Shave November. So of course we want to capitalize on pop culture first of all, but November is really important because it moves us into December, and we'll talk about that topic. But it's a really important time of year for people to reassess what they have going on in their life and look at the year behind them. It can be really, really powerful on top of this whole pop culture thing. So in the past and in this year too, we're going to show up and provide a lot of free content for you to be able to move you through November. We have programs that we've had people invest in the past. I'm not totally sure what we're doing, where you can get into a private program with me during November. So we're going to talk about No Porn November. And usually what I do is give you daily strategies to implement, just like I do in the 90-day program, but a little bit more simplified, so that you can start using strategies synergistically. And I'll say that again, just so you can understand, is that you want these strategies to synergize. So you know how if you start eating healthy and you start working out and then you start relaxing more in the evening and you start eating healthy meals, you just start to feel better overall because all those things synergize, where opposed to if you just took an evening walk, that wouldn't do much to tip you over into feeling a lot better. That's what we want to do with these strategies, so that you can move into the end of the year and the next year feeling, motivated, and also like you have the tools so you can move forward and the support from us. I'm psyched that it's on the 1st. That's perfect. That worked out well.
Yeah. There was a couple of questions about ADHD and it getting worse. When a brain pattern starts, it will perpetuate and only get worse. So the habits, feelings, attitudes, behaviors, routines, those are things that impact how they get worse. So, ADHD, if you already have ADHD, you get double the amount.
It increases the ADHD pattern. And the cool thing about the work that I do, that I've done for a really long time outside of porn addiction, is basically I can reduce the ADHD pattern in people's brains. I've done it for lots of kiddos and for adults, because there's a pattern in there of too much slowing and not enough power, not enough fast, perfect, calm, focused brain speed. And unfortunately, that's exactly what porn does to your brain. It makes your brain wired and tired. So it gives you the quote unquote tired pattern is the too much slowing, and the wired is anxiety. So the answer is a definitive yes. If you have ADHD, porn's going to feel really good to your brain, but it's going to increase your ADHD brain pattern, which is going to increase your ADHD symptoms when you're not in the screen.
And a lot of the questions we get, well, I'm not in a relationship, I don't have a partner. The way that Dr. Leigh explains the pendulum effect, your brain is literally swinging back and forth to fast and slow. So it's like pressing the brake and the gas at the same time in a car. So it's this push and pull constantly. And when your brain, brain dysfunction is the number one reason why most people can't break the chains of addiction. And you can have the best treatment plan, the most prestigious inpatient place. But if you have underlying brain dysregulation, most likely you're not going to be able to follow through with the program. So that's, Dr. Leigh brings that neurological component, and that's why a lot of
So
people
when we
won't
train
go
your
to
brain and like in the 90-day program and here on the channel, I'm trying to get you to train your brain with technology. And I put MyoBark One's question up because I wanted to. PMO also has a huge impact on intelligence. And if you're in this habit long enough, basically it will decrease power in your brain. It can actually slow down the dominant frequency of your brain. When I do brain maps with people and I see that, I will say to them, like, if this is in the cards for you, basically, if you can afford it, and if you are willing to put your time, money, and energy towards it, you need this. And if you're feeling your intelligence decrease, the reason your intelligence feels like it's decreasing is because your brain dysregulation is increasing. The damage in your brain is increasing. And I can help people see that in their brain, in the brain map that I do. And when you do that, then I want you to know it's like you can do something about it. You don't have to just accept that. You come out of the screen, you rewire your brain, and you heal it. And that's really an important thing. There's another question, which I just want to address this one really quick, and I know other people might. Do you consider homosexuality an unhealthy sexuality from a psychological perspective? The answer to that is no. But I want to add a caveat is that, I healthy and unhealthy isn't about who you choose to partner with. What it's about is knowing what your arousal template is from a healthy standpoint. So like the point about that is that there's many people I work with, because they've been watching porn so long, they are aroused by men and women. And I've worked with lots of men who have acted on that impulse and tried to be with other men in the real world, but it's not actually their arousal template. It's just because their brain is getting so much dopamine from the screen when they watch both people in the scenes. And that can take people into these rabbit holes. Like, the porn industry is not stupid. It's designed this way on purpose, knowing that it's a dopamine dependency. It's not actually about sexuality and who you choose your partner to be. So what's unhealthy about it is if you're going back to the screen over and over and you don't know what you actually want and who you like, and if you're using other people regardless of their gender, you're objectifying those people and using them for your pleasure, and you're not connecting with them intimately. That's the unhealthy piece. And I help people in my programs that have all different things going on in their relationships. And what I'm trying to do within any type of relationship is get you from unhealthy behaviors to healthy. And it is pretty wild. And, that's why we're going to do a lot of that in September. We can cover that sensitively if people can handle it. As long as people can handle it and stay with me. It's not about who you're attracted to, who in your heart you intimately want to connect with. It's about doing that in a healthy way.
I was working with somebody who, when he called the first time and I was doing a consult with him, he was crying, and he said, I am not getting aroused by girls anymore. I only am getting aroused by guys. And this scares me. And it wasn't even, the fact that, he was so scared because of his parents are very Baptist, and he knew what that whole conversation would be like. It's all about the dopamine. It's not even, the tolerance is going to increase. It's going to create fetishes. It's going to make you act out in things that you would not normally do. So the more that you do engage, it is going to increase no matter what. I do want to answer a question, Mark. Hi, Mark. I've been working with Mark for a while. He just got the Muse headband a couple months ago. He didn't use it for a month or two, but then he has used it for a straight month and a half, I think is how long he said. And he said, I feel this change inside of me. He said, and I can't explain it. And I was so excited for him. He drives a bus in the city. So, you know, there's a lot of stress that goes along with that. But I wanted Dr. Leigh to, you know,
Yeah, that's
answer this
great. Yeah.
question.
And I earlier today, Jamie and I had what was supposed to be a short meeting, and it became a very long one. Classic, right, Jamie? Is that and I was saying, like, we have to tell people more passionately to get the state of the art technology that is affordable for most people. It's an investment, but it's still a pretty affordable one in the grand scheme of life, that can literally train their brains in the right direction. And I call that, what Jamie is explaining, that Mark's experiencing, a qualitative shift. You know, it's this shift that you can't explain, but you know something's going on. And there's two things I want you to know when you use the Muse headband. And Jamie, I don't know, maybe you could put up the link from our website if you're able to put that in the comments, because if you get the Muse headband from our website, you get the best price. Jamie's been working hard to make sure that they keep giving our people the best pricing out there. So we've done that. And so she's going to put the link up if you're interested in the headband. But this is what it does: is it generates graph of your brain performance every time you use it. What you want to see is a downward trend on that line. It also gives you a percentage of calm, which it is a goal for that percentage of calm to increase over time. But that's the first thing I want you to know. It has measurable data, and you can see your brain improving within each session and across sessions using the downward trend line if it starts lower and you have a higher percentage of calm. But, and of course, there's always caveats, but the idea is that, you know, it's also like yoga or meditation. Just doing it helps you, regardless if you know how to look at the data, regardless if the data is wonderful. Engaging in the process of it over time is absolutely going to help you. So, you know, get the headband, and if you have it, use it consistently. Think about it as a workout for your brain. I'm not going to explain the logistics of it here, but I'm just going to explain it in one easy way. It's like, you know how if you work out with weights to try to get a stronger muscle, so, you know, you're doing bicep curls and you have a, I don't know, 20-pound weight. I didn't want to go too low for my own sake, but I didn't want to go too high. 25-pound weight, 50-pound weight. You have a weight, and when you do the bicep curl, like, you can feel the pull against your muscle, knowing your muscle's getting stronger. The headband basically kind of gives the pull against the brain. It's giving it feedback to move it in the right direction so it gets stronger. That's how it works. Use the mind meditation, and it's going to be like bicep curls for your brain. It doesn't put anything in. It just feeds you back the soundscape to kind of create the resistance your brain needs to work for the stronger brain pattern. So it does work. And the more consistently you work it, just like bicep curls, if you use bicep curls, if you curl some weights every day, your biceps are going to get stronger. And then what the Muse will do is it takes a calibration at the beginning of every session. So if you need to move from 25-pound weights to 30-pound weights, it's going to do it for you automatically. So it's pretty cool, state-of-the-art technology. And I'm glad that Mark's using his, and I'm glad that he's feeling the benefits. And if you continue to use it consistently, your brain's going to feel better, and it's all unconscious. You don't have to think about anything. That's the best thing.
And this is a brain hack that I can actually say now that I've learned so much from Dr. Leigh. Meditation, brain training, you know, there's hundreds of ways that you can do it. But, you know, when you get to 3 minutes of brain training or meditating a day, it affects your electromagnetic field and the circulation and stability of your blood, or I said that wrong. Circulation and stability of your blood chemistry. When you get to 13 minutes, it changes your nerves and granular system. And when you get up to 20 to 23 minutes, it balances the three minds, your positive, negative, and neutral. And they all start to work together, creating a mental integration change. And it really is powerful. And that's,
yeah, and you can start with 3 minutes and get the most surface level type of brain reset. You work yourself up to 13, you are well in the zone of rewiring. And if you can get yourself to 23, that's high level stuff, is what Jamie's basically saying. Hey, James, someone has a question about Casminal Toto. Can I donate money to your work? Yes, when we do lives, Jamie can put the link up. I've created a nonprofit organization. I have some exciting things. I'll give you an update on that in just 1 second. I've created a nonprofit organization, Porn Brain Prevention. Jamie will put the link up, and I'd love for you all to donate if you're feeling inspired. What that money goes towards is creating programs for young people. 2 things: creating programs for young people so they stay away from porn in the first place, or they get out quickly, avoiding people having to be here in 20 years with Jamie and I as older women, telling them to, come out of this habit. Secondarily, educating other professionals. I work with so many people who say that, their psychologist told them that porn was no big deal, or they went to their urologist for ED and they were checked out for everything and their urologist doesn't know what's wrong with them. There's so many other professionals that don't know what's going on here, that we're making digital programs to help those professionals understand and be able to refer people to the proper help. So when you donate, your money goes towards that. And just a really quick update, I'm partnering with a nonprofit organization out of the UK. They're coming to visit pretty soon so that we can put these digital programs together in the near future. So that's pretty exciting.
And there used to
hey,
be
Jim, we never talked about December. So before we run out of time, maybe we could just throw out December's topic there too.
I will. I just want to say there used to be a tab on YouTube that will actually let you donate through here, and we would see it, but I'm not sure what's happened to that. So I'll have to look into that and make sure it's there next time we do a live. Okay, so next one is December 6th. This is going to be Holidays Without Porn. Holidays are very stressful, so this is very intentional about bringing that stress down during that stressful time.
Mm-hmm. So in December, what happens is porn is a crutch. It's a self-soothing behavior. And as holiday parties, increased expenses, trying to put on Christmas for your family. I also know that for a lot of men, engagement, if they're stuck in the porn cycle, just engagement in general in all of that stuff is very difficult because of what porn does to your brain. It's pretty wild. You can't even see it until you're out of it. And I've had a couple experiences with clients lately where they're having this huge realization of like, oh my gosh, I have to like reinvent the entire wheel in this case because holidays have been so challenging for me to engage with, mostly because of shame, that, now I need to figure out how to do it. So basically in December, we're going to talk about shame. We're going to talk about depression. A lot of times people will experience depression at the holidays if their life isn't what they wished it would be, and if they don't have other people. What I want for you is for you to be able to have inner peace, as cheesy as it sounds also, but to feel peaceful and to engage in the holidays in a way that feels good to you. Maybe make some amends with people so that you do have a couple healthy, or as healthy as possible, emotionally healthy people in your life so that you can feel connected at holiday time. People have a lot of big stuff going on and they don't know how to approach and engage with it to get to the other side of it, to maybe have some reparation at the holidays and to create holiday time that feels good to them so they don't have to go into porn. And there's a lot of pieces in the mix there. So that's what we're going to talk about the first week in December, setting you up for success so that when you have the urges, when you have a sexual urge to watch porn, it's not sexual at all. It's a call for mood regulation. You've just taught your brain to do it through porn. So now I want you to reteach your brain to do it with other healthy mechanisms, and at the same time reduce stress so that you don't have those urges all the time. And we're going to cover that in December. It's a good time to practice some of these skills, setting up yourself, thinking about, you are the creator of your life. People forget this. People think they're victims of their life situation. And some of the stuff we go through is challenging, but you don't have to be a victim. I made a video on that. You don't have to be a victim. You can be a victor over your circumstances and be able to go, you know what? I have to do these things to get the life that I want. But when you start thinking about yourself as the creator of your life, it's a huge framework shift that can move you forward big time.
Every situation, and I really learned this through Dr. Leigh's program, is an opportunity, and it's how you react to that situation is going to depend on the outcome. And, sometimes it just takes walking away and thinking about it. When that hijacker, your brain is literally being hijacked. And that it's because of the moon road. It's an ego, and we develop this persona to feel safe in this world, but that ego will do all it can not to feel negative feelings. And so that's where the self-soothing comes in. Dopamine, yes, it feels great, when you get that hit. So, it's learning how to deal with life on life's terms. And, Dr. Leigh gives you a toolbox that you actually can go to and use those tools. It really is an amazing gift and even just attending these lives and looking at her YouTube channel. If you have that urge, watching one of her videos will inspire you not to engage. I saw somebody say, I was just had that urge, and then you popped up, and that's really great to hear that, this is something that does inspire you not to. And that's why we do this. So we're great. We get as much out of this as you do. And, we truly do have a passion for helping people. Dr. Leigh has changed my life in ways that I cannot even explain, in so many different areas. And I am grateful for it. So, it's my turn to give back, and, every one of you can have that opportunity as well.
Yeah,
So,
totally. Okay, let's answer a couple questions, and because we're already running late here this fine day.
yeah.
But thank you, Jamie, because that's totally true. It is. I feel like this has become an opportunity for me to help people, and then you feel that way too. And we try to inspire that in people. So I love that. Thank you. I see a couple of really cool questions here that I'm going to put up if okay, I'm going to put this one up, and I'm not going to answer it here all the way, but I'm going to tell you we have strategies for this. I have a question on PMO. Why is it always quit or use? Are steps like reducing consumption in terms of like less hardcore or less quantity also a positive thing? The answer overall is no, because if you have a heroin habit, or if you rob banks as a habit, like reducing the amount you rob banks or robbing less money from a bank doesn't compute. And I believe porn is that damaging to your brain and your life. So it's not a thing that you go, okay, I'm going to do less, or heroin. Like, I'm just going to use heroin a little every once in a while. It's still terrible for you. But I will tell you, in the 90-day program, and when I work with people in my neurofeedback coaching program, I will have weaning strategies that I use with people, but the only time I do it is when I've given them all the tools and healthy strategies. So we're weaning while we're putting all of these things into effect. It's not like you're just going to use a little and a little less intense, because the reality is there is tolerance building, and you will be back into escalation. It just doesn't work that way. So it's a dopamine dependency, and your brain will need more. So for most people, they can't pull that off. It's like an alcoholic drinking a little bit. And I'm sure you know how that goes. Alcoholics get to a place they cannot drink at all. If they have one sip, they're back in it days later, weeks later, months later, but they're back into it because, in fact, it is an addiction. It's not a choice because of tolerance and escalation. Okay, so then another good question. Quitting porn led to the opening of a can of worms where I had to deal with internet addiction, planning out my days, hardest challenge yet after 90 days sober. All of this is in my 90-day program. I tell people, like here on this channel, I tell you, you can't just quit because it opens a can of worms. So when you quit, if you have the strength to be able to do that, then you have to be able to address lifestyle. And at the core of the 90-day program is a personal transformation of your lifestyle. And you have 90 days to change the way that your lifestyle falls out to address all of these things. And then 90 days later, you're not in the position where you're dealing with a lot of difficult stuff. You've worked it all out in the unwire, rewire, and hardwire phases. That's why I've set that program up very intentionally to move you through a process where this doesn't happen to you. You're addressing the internet addiction piece, because when you come out of the screen in one way, you go in other ways. And if you have to plan your days out so hardcore, what it means is your brain has not rewired enough to be able to stay away. You're keeping yourself away. One other question here, and then Jamie, if you see any questions you want to answer, and then we'll wrap up, but we'll be back in September. I like this question a lot. What will porn cost you? And from a no sciencey standpoint, I would truly tell you that eventually it could cost you everything. And I know if you're at the beginning of this journey, you won't believe me. But if you're someone here who is at the brink of losing everything, or you feel it starting, you know what I mean. And we've already covered some of the side effects, but what the loss actually includes is the loss of your faculties. And to me, my brain is my mind, my brain, my body. Those are my tools that I use to navigate this world and to contribute to it, and then also enjoy it. I need them. And you will definitely lose your brain power, your performance. What I want for people is self-actualization, peak performance. You can have that if you come out of porn. If you stay in porn, you can't have that. You literally can't have a peak performance brain. It will cost you your brain, which will then cost you your body. It will cost you your mind. It'll cost you your relationships. It'll cost you the work you love. It'll cost you the motivation and the will and the desire. It will cost you everything. It gets people in trouble with the law. They don't even see that coming. You're in the bubble. And before they know it, they're like, what did I just do? And it's all because their brain needs more and more and more. So it literally could low-key torture you for the rest of your life, or it can rip everything away in a moment. And to me, it's not worth it. I want you to have the best life ever. Okay, Jamie, got any other thoughts here? And then we'll wrap up
there
and
was
we'll be back.
someone who asked about interviewing clients. So, we are going to be doing some interviews with clients that not only that have been struggling with this, but also with their brain maps, being able to see what their brain looks like when they started or before this, and then after doing neurofeedback and working one-on-one with Dr. Leigh.
It's pretty awesome. We have people excited to share that with you, and we're getting organized. When we decided to come back on the lives, we were trying to make the decision if we'd make it like live coaching with those clients. And we decided to put that content out in a different way so that we can be here to answer questions. But that's coming, and it's going to be amazing because people are psyched about the gains that they've got. And I want you to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Someone asked about fantasy and being able to
there's strategies. There's strategies in the 90-day program. There's 2 videos on my YouTube channel. If you search fantasy, there's 2 videos for sure giving you strategies to come out of fantasy. What I can tell you here is that's going to be the last demon for you to fight. And I don't even like the conceptualization of fighting demons. Like I tell people, recovery doesn't have to be like that. When it comes to fantasy, sometimes it has to be like that because it is constantly creeping into your mind. And, it's basically an internalized dopamine dependency. And one of my clients who I have an affinity for said, if you put me in a room for 30 days, I come out worse. You put an alcoholic or a drug addict in a room by themselves for 30 days, they come out better. It's not fair. And I've really intentionally put some strategies in place to try to help people with that. So it's a big, I want you to know this, is that when you go to porn fantasy, again, it's just a call for mood regulation. It means your brain wants to check out of the life that it's living in that moment, whether that be during your work time, whether that be being with your partner, you need a higher level of dopamine. It's just to get more dopamine because you're in a place where you need it. And when you look at it like that, you get it and you're able to realize fantasies use, it is an addiction in and of itself, and it's using your brain. It's sucking the life out of it. Okay, so I think we're gonna wrap up. And James, do you have any other thoughts? But we're super excited to be back. Can't wait to be able to help you. Make sure you tune in, put in your schedules on Wednesday at 1:30 to 2:30. We're gonna be here. Get your questions ready. Start watching. We just got a post saying that there's 800 videos on the YouTube channel. 800 videos here. So that is quite the library. Start getting into them if you haven't, and keep moving forward and show up with some good questions so we can keep helping you.
And also, we will be doing them on the Brain Rewire channel, which is called Dr. Trish Leigh Brain Rewire. And those will be on the third Wednesday of the month at probably same time, 1:30. So
Yeah,
you
and
will
I think our topics there, September, we're going to do pain, anxiety, and recovery. Recovery in general. I added that. Jamie doesn't know it. Because it's National Recovery Month. It's National Pain in the United States, National Getting Over Pain Month. In October, we're doing ADHD. In November, we're going to talk about Alzheimer's. You might want to tune in over there because we know that porn is correlated with Alzheimer's, and I'll keep reminding you of that moving into November. Interesting topics over, and dementia. And then December is seasonal affective disorder. So, again, kind of that depression, and we know seasonal affective disorder shows up in the winter months, especially if you live somewhere cold, like where I used to live in Buffalo, New York, and now I live in sunny North Carolina, even though it's very humid. So, we'll check in with you and give you some good information on channel 1, as we call it, Dr. Trish Leigh Brain Rewire.
All right, guys, we hope you tune in on our future lives. Bring your questions, and I will post something so you can go ahead and add questions to our promotion or promotional videos that we post, and I will gather those together and try to group them together so we can get to as many questions as possible. It's hard to answer every single question, but we truly do try to make the most out of this and answer as many questions as possible. So look out for those promotional videos. Okay.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. Thanks for jumping on, even though we didn't let you know we were going to be here, and you can look for those. And until we see you next time, control your brain or it'll control you. All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye, James.
Bye.